What up, Middle Thoughts family? It's Coach Estrada. Hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. It's been a lot going on, so just want to start with this. Sorry, everybody, that you haven't heard from us in a while. We are people just like you guys are, and we wanted to make sure we had some of our holiday time. So at that point, I'll let y'all know myself. I was at a wedding for one of my real good friends with the Budos. Had a very good time. Got to go out there on the 30th and celebrate, life and love with my friends. And along with that, I've had some fantasy drafts and things, and we even started a new fantasy league for the wedding. So that'll be fun. So what we're going to do today is you're going to get a little solo episode from me. And how we're going to start off with this is you're going to get it first. I'm going to start with a little health and nutrition. There is the start of the new school year is going on right now. So many kids' first days today. Some kids started last week. So I got a little quick and tidbit about family and like some eating habits and things that we should do with ADHD. Then I'll talk a little bit about the wedding and some of the fun that I had when I was out there. And then I'm going to close off with some fantasy talk because I've had a bunch of fantasy drafts and things. So just going to talk about how my drafts went and then kind of go from there. So let's get into it. This segment that's going to help some of us back to school parents. And we're going to talk about a little bit of ADHD today. As a person myself who has ADHD, I also am a special education licensed teacher in the state of Delaware, as soon to be Pennsylvania. Well, I wanted to kind of speak a little bit about how our diet and our foods that we give our children really affect them in the classroom. Because the thing is, it really matters what's on the plate for our kids as well as it matters what they're learning in the classroom. So we need to keep things in mind. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today, or even just a question that I'm going to ask to the audience is, did you know that certain foods can actually make ADHD symptoms worse in kids? That is the burning question. That is a question that for some of you listeners, you might know that, yeah, there are foods that do this, but some of you, y'all might not even have thought about how the foods in your plate is affecting your children. So we're kind of going to briefly talk about that a little bit. So just kind of sum things up. ADHD in the brain is more sensitive to diets. So we have to really be specific with these children. So these children are also known as neurodivergent. These neurodivergent brains as well with their hyperactivity or attention to focus or things like that. So what your children is eating and the things that they should avoid, like that's can impact their focus, their mood, and their energy. So let's look into some of the foods to watch out for. So there's some main categories that we need to avoid. So we want to avoid artificial colors and dyes such as red, or anything with a red dye. These things are found in candies and sodas and cereals, and these are often linked to hyperactivity and inability to focus. So in Delaware, they recently passed a law where they're banning red food color dyes from foods. That is great. We definitely need to keep working that way. We need to next kind of target these excess sugar things and these foods that have all these extra sugar that's built into it, these simple sugars. So that'll help with the sudden spikes and crashes that kids get from the impulsivity to even them being ornery and irritable in class. Like that's happening. They're feeling hungry. And the next part is even like the amount of junk food and processed foods I see children eating, the chips and the Pop Tarts and the Takis and sodas. Like these high in preservatives and additive foods such as sodium benzoate and monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG. Like these are just teaching the brain that this food is good and that we want to have it, or it's just trying to keep it fresh longer. But in all reality, all that's doing is making our behaviors of our children worse. The next part is, even though it's going to be a big shocker to a lot of people, but it's going to be caffeine. So, and the thing is, it's not just like a cup of coffee that we were drinking. No, I'm really looking at like the sodas and the energy drinks like Celsius. God, like nobody should be drinking a Celsius. Like everybody's children needs to stay away from those. They're so bad for you. And that company gets mad at me for it. And then we could talk about how it puts you into an adrenaline dump and also puts you in a state of fight or flight at the same time. That is so horrible for you. So we have to please avoid these things. And even some teas, like they can help disrupt with sleep or focus and things because the caffeine drops and withdrawals is really a thing. So we have to keep that in mind. And the last and final thing that we're going to talk about is these artificial sweeteners. We got things like aspartame and stuff. Like those things are going to act just as like sugar and like any of these processed things in these foods that's going to affect your kids' ability to have stable moods and concentrate in class. So these things really matter. So as I'm wrapping this up and looking at some of these takeaways, so I just remind you guys that every child is different. So their diet should be individualized. So some students and some children are going to require more carbs and others are going to require more fat. So you have to look at the different body types as we feed your children, because sometimes feeding your children too much can be a thing. So we got to make sure that we're taking care of these things and make sure we're feeding our children properly. The next thing, I'm just going to suggest you guys keeping a food and behavior journal for your children if you're noticing some patterns. So things such as lion's mane and turmeric and things like that, AstraZeneca, those are great things you can add to your children's diet to help with focus, while you can also kind of keep in track of what they're eating each day and how their behavior of their school is. You can really kind of narrow down what foods are helping your children and what foods aren't. As I'm gonna tell you right now, foods such as like gluten and soy and dairy, like those foods that people are either allergic to or sensitive to, can often affect their moods and behavior as well. So, just with the closing statement, sometimes what's going on the plate matters just as much as happening in the homework of the kids. So, let's keep that in mind as we're taking care of our children and looking into the school year. I hope everybody has a great school year. I hope everybody's children is going to love their schools. And please give respect to all the teachers and work with everybody as times are hard. Have a good day. Peace, fam. It is time. The time is now. The day is gonna be Thursday. What I'm talking about is the opening game for the NFL season. And we're starting with the Cowboys and the Eagles. And at the same time, the Eagles will be unveiling not only their Super Bowl banner, but a bunch of retired jerseys and stuff like that for some of their pros and Hall of Fame guys. So that's gonna be super dope. So with that being said, hopefully everybody's had their fantasy drafts. If not, they need to make sure to get it done because week 1 is upon us. So I have finally finished all of my fantasy drafts, and I am in 8 leagues. I am finishing with 8 leagues this fall, and I'm about to talk about just a couple teams I think are going to do rather well. So the first team I'm going to be talking about has to do with my homies from that I played a lot of fantasy with from Firefly. We've been friends for many years. We've done this league for quite some time. I believe I finished 3rd place last year, and a couple seasons before I was the champion. So this year I had a really good draft pick. I had the 2nd overall pick, so I feel like this team is going to be the one that I'm going to win a championship with this year. Like, these guys are going to be fire. So I'm going to go through my roster, and you guys have to let me know what you guys think. So, like I said, this is one of the teams that I think I can win a championship with. Y'all going to have to let me know in the comments of what you think. So at quarterback, I have Josh Allen. Then I have Bijan Robinson, Alvin Kamara, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, David Njoku at tight end, David Montgomery, my flex, DJ Moore, another flex. Then I have Jake Elliott as my kicker. For my defense, I have the Baltimore Ravens. I then on my bench have Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakur, Jared Goff, Jaden Reed, Jerome Ford, and Rashad Bateman. I feel like these guys are going to be fire. So I have my quarterback combination with a wide receiver and tight end. And then I also have Jared Goff as my backup with David Montgomery. Bijan Robinson, he's going to be one of the guys. He's going to be one of the top running backs in the league this year, as always projected. Josh Allen's going to do the same thing. So as I look at my week 1 matchup, I'm looking to score based off these points, 148 points against a guy that's going to have 144. He has a pretty good team. That matchup is going to be Josh Allen versus Jaden Daniels, Bijan Robinson versus Chuba Hubbard, Alvin Kamara versus the rookie Henderson from New England, Terry McLaurin versus Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown versus Brian Thomas, then Njoku versus Warren, DJ Moore versus Worthy, David Montgomery versus Tony Pollard, which I felt like that's a big in my favor, Jake Elliott versus Minnesota kicker Richard, Vikings defense versus Ravens. So we should get after it. And I'm wondering, he also has Christian McCaffrey on his bench, and he has Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. So I'm wondering if he's going to make appearances with those guys. So we shall see. But I think for my first team and first matchup, that should be a dub for me. I should start off the season 1-0 with this team. My next roster has to do with my buddies from Delaware, Dover. Some of these guys I play lacrosse with and football with, or just kind of know from around the way. Pretty good team. It's not quite as stacked as the last one, but I still got some pretty good guys, and I'm also took some chances. So at quarterback, I got Baker Mayfield. Then I got Christian McCaffrey, followed by Jonathan Taylor. Those are my running backs. At wide receiver, I have Mike Evans and Calvin Ridley. My tight end is Sam Laporta, who's due for a huge season. Then at my flex right now, I have Travis Kelce, My next flex I have Deebo Samuels. I'm starting that Giants defense because I feel like we're going to ball. And I took that rookie loop that just replaced Tucker. So even on my bench, I have Javonte Williams for the Cowboys, that running back. Jordan Addison, who's suspended, but I'm going to hang on to him. Then I got that rookie Higgins, along with CJ Stroud. Then I have Samson, Ollie Gordon, who I'm considering playing this week. And then Sean Tucker and Brandon Ayuk in my IR. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think the guy I'm playing against this week should be too rough for me. So he has Brock Purdy at quarterback, James Cook, that rookie Harvey, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, Austin Eckler, Jake Ferguson, the Rams defense, and Butler. I don't know. I think my team is better than his. I think that I'm going to outperform him. Like Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans, that combination is going to be crazy. I think Christian McCaffrey, at least I hope Christian McCaffrey comes back and has a stellar game. Jonathan Taylor, same thing. I'm hoping in both situations they're handing off the ball a lot, but also anytime Brock Purdy throws to Christian McCaffrey, we both get points there, so I'm cool with it. Calvin Ridley's looking to have a great season coming back. I got some hope for Cam over there playing quarterback, so we should be good there. And then Travis Kelce's the guy, but along with Deebo Samuels, I think he's going to be cooking over there. And I don't think anybody should be sleeping on my New York Giants defense. Like, that defense is going to go crazy. So that team I'm pretty confident in. I think we're going to do a really good job in that situation. I'm going to go over one more team. I know I said I had 8, but I'm going to go over one more roster, just kind of sit through. And then as the season goes on, I'll let y'all know how I'm sitting on my records and how I'm doing so far on my teams. My last team I'm going to talk about is one of my dynasty teams that I'm doing, my dynasty degenerates. So playing this with a lot of my homeboys that I grew up with, playing backyard football, watching football with, or anything in between, video games and all. So this team, I don't think is the caliber to win a championship, but you never know. He's got to make it to the playoffs. But I got some guys, if they perform the way I need them to, it's going to go down the right way. So I'm going to start off with at quarterback, I got Patrick Mahomes. At running back, I have that rookie Amarion Hampton. The next running back I got is DeAndre Swift. Then at wide receiver, here I'm Mike Evans. If you notice, I'm a big Mike Evans guy. That's a 1,000-yard receiver every season. And then after that, I got Jameson Williams, who is hot cold. I know there's Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Jameson Williams be doing his thing. At tight end, I'm chilling with Theo Johnson. That's subject to change. And then at my flex spots, I got 3 of them. I'm sitting with Calvin Austin, Josh Downs, and then Austin Eckler. And then this is a super flex league, which means you can have a quarterback, a running back, a tight end, or a quarterback or a wide receiver there. So I got J.J. McCarthy sitting in that spot. But then also on my bench, I got Geno Smith, Trey Benson, Quinshawn Judkins, which he should be signing his rookie deal here soon. Trevor Etienne, I know he's the 3rd running back. I'm just going to let him chill there in my roster. Justice Hill, who came in handy for me last year. I got Brian Robinson for San Francisco. I'm not sure what's happening there, but I got to hold on to that guy. He's young. Sean Tucker, another young guy. Trey Tucker, that's a wide receiver for Las Vegas. Davon Vele is a wide receiver now in New Orleans. Adam Thielen, I just picked up off of waivers, going back to Minnesota, and then Tyler Higbee. I got someone stashed away on my injured reserve. That's Tank Dell. We shall see. And then this league is a dynasty. That means we only draft rookies. So we also have taxi squads as well. So I'm sitting on Malik Washington, Jake Beck, Trey Ferguson, that tight end for the Rams, Shador Sanders, and Efton Chisholm. So sitting on these guys. We shall see how this season goes. The last couple of years, my team has been pretty competitive, and I've made the playoff run, so we shall see. I'm pretty hopeful that I feel like my team is 1 or 2 draft seasons away from a pretty good team, but I'll let y'all know as the season goes, and you guys have to let me know in the comments how your fantasy draft went, what you think about my team, and how you think things are going to go with these coming games.